I did encourage you to do this quest, but I'm not so sure you needed any encouragement from anybody, just because you're so open to new challenges. You said that in the quest you felt, I think you said, revitalized, renewed, sense of positivity. I mean, I didn't just hope that you get those things out of it. I knew that you would, because you were going to be all in, because that's how you do everything.
There are a few things that you were meditating on and thinking about heading into the Vision Quest. And I think this sort of fear of aging and fear of death came through. So listening to your story and wearing it as my own, we came to this idea of evaporation. And you told the story of, your words were, we're all evaporating and eventually we're all going to be the same. And it felt to me like you'd made peace with the end on some level and like what that looks like for all of us. Coming to terms with the ultimate leveling of everyone, we're all headed there. But noticing that you are still very much absorbing and taking things in, challenging yourself through that journey. And that, if it was me, would bring me peace, but also joy, that I've got gifts left to give, and I came here to find those gifts.
So in your story, the person I heard was a nurturer. Like, I mean, you said you didn't just wash that rock, you washed it twice. I'm like, who does that? I didn't know rocks needed nurturing. It was beautiful. I just love that. You're just so loving, to everything. They do say that there's life in everything, spirit and everything, and that's what you took that to heart,
When you fell and then found that root, I was like, this is the gift from the fall in the hero's journey. And for me, that would be validation that whatever I was getting I was on the right track.
I think it's amazing that you have led such a wonderful life that your biggest fear is to have to step away from that one day. I think that's something amazing that I've never ever felt myself, and I'm hoping that I can one day. We all come from the great mystery, we all go there. You're not going there alone. Every living thing goes to the same place. So I think your story is an inspiration that there is a purpose, and that purpose is just to live and be happy, and you accomplish that.
Just speaking of the mud bath ritual, on the one hand, going in, it's like perfect weather and perfect place to do it, and the perfect mud and the perfect sandy bottom, and then you get all mudded up, and then this cold wind comes, and it's like, oh shit, oh shit, why'd I do this?
We can get so disembodied, and it was really amazing to hear about how embodied you became in that mud bath experience with the water, with that cold wind, just brought you into that body, that embodiment, so alive.
I was also really touched by the what you called your retirement ceremony, where you picked up this pine cone and and carried it for a while, and then after a good long walk, the pine cone being a metaphor of your past, you kind of went down to the river and let it go and watched it head off downstream. And again, I had the sense, so on the one hand, that's a letting go of with the past and all it's meant and stuff. But another thing I sense is, I'm letting go of pine cone. This is a thing full of seeds. And it's kind of like, that image of you cast a stone and you have no idea where the ripples go. And I would take from that is, even though I may not see the effects or the results of my actions, my work, whatever I've done in the past, even though I'm not actively engaged with, it's still producing, it's still bearing seeds, it's still going downriver, and people will continue to see my films, and who knows how many, but some will be touched, and it'll move them to change their lives. And so I would feel a great deal of contentment.
When you told the story about the pine cone, and you said you let go of it and let it down the river, right? Yeah. I thought of it as you letting go of some of the relationships in your life, like the way they are now, and letting them be different, like with your daughter. Because it's going to be kind of hard, but it's also obvious that you're able to do that. You have the ability to do that, because you're powerful enough to do that.
I know we connected a little bit on the walk, looking at the lizard and you talking about it. I really love that medicine. I would be really cherishing that modeling from lizard about stopping and pausing rather than continuing. And I feel nervous energy in you. And if I knew I had nervous energy in me, that would be even more meaningful. Nervous as in needing to do, needing to next.
Well, your story was just one metaphor after another metaphor for life. And you took the time and quietness and solitude to stop and see that. And I know at one point you said in your profession it was always stop, shoot, and go. And now your life is stop and stay. And that was such a good, not metaphor, but such a good example of how I want to live my story.
Thank you for the mirror. It's incredible. I don't often look at myself this way. I love you all, as I've said before, because of your truth and your own incredible paths that you're journeying upon. And it brings me such joy to share it, all this. And I think especially struck with what Sparrow had noticed when I said I was standing in the sunlight, looking into the sun. And, isn't it said from people who've had near-death experiences that sometimes they see a light? And I really believe that, if nothing else, I'm totally ready for that light. And that's really what I came here for.